Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, I've lost. Okay. I call this hybrid meeting to order with any remote participation operating under Albemarle County's continuum of government ordinance. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kathy.
We are here for the purpose of talking about a one-time pay adjustment for staff between now and June, and a potential change in retirement for staff over 10 years of service, and a title change for a position. And now I'll turn it over to David, our director.
Thank you, Kathy. So the first item is a one-time pay adjustment for JMRL staff in fiscal year 22. So that's between now and the end of June. The business manager and myself are looking at one-time funding to spend this fiscal year. The Budget Finance Committee will meet next week to discuss that as well. Last year, we offered a one-time pay adjustment mid-year for anyone hired before January 1st. Staff is recommending that we do the same this year, so we're seeking a recommendation from the Personnel Committee to make to the full board. Mostly, there are three goals that we're trying to accomplish if the board supports this. First is about staff retention. Everybody has seen the news and read the stories about how hard it is to hire and retain staff. JMRL has seen about a 10% turnover in the last year, which is less than many peer libraries and some other industries, but still it's high for JMRL. The second is a recognition for work during a difficult period of shifting service models. So recognition to staff for being able to keep providing service, library service to Charlottesville, Albemarle, Greene, Louisa, and Nelson during the shifting phases of the pandemic. And the third is an acknowledgement that cost of living increases are not keeping up with the cost of living as inflation is outpacing JMRL's cost of living increases. So many of our partner jurisdictions were able to do similar compensation adjustments this year. Albemarle was able to give all staff a 6% raise mid-year. So in halfway through this fiscal year, they gave all staff a 6% raise. JMRL can't do that, which encumbers a lot of future funding. Charlottesville gave full-time staff who worked the year a $3,500 bonus in December and a 6% pay raise effective immediately. Greene County gave a $3,000 bonus in November to full-time staff. So mid-year pay raise is not an option for JMRL as we don't have the budget to support that in an ongoing fashion, but a one-time pay adjustment is an option. So I'm seeking a recommendation for the full board from this group to pursue, looking at a one-time pay adjustment for full-time staff, and then half of the amount for our part-time staff, including substitutes. So questions or things to discuss? Any thoughts on that? Does it sound like something that I'm sure staff in presence would probably support that? You support that recommendation, Chris?
Absolutely, yes.
Krista, would you support that recommendation?
Yes, I would. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Kathy's got a call. So the budget committee will discuss specifics if this committee decides to move forward. Kathy, would you recommend that suggestion to the full board? Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I would recommend it.
Okay, then I think we're in agreement that the personnel committee would recommend a one-time pay adjustment in fiscal year 22. Shall we move on to the second agenda item?
Yes.
Okay, so this is really at this point just a proposal that's under consideration by the city of Charlottesville, and the agenda is incorrect. The agenda states that this is about the DB retirement plan, but really this discussion is about the DC retirement plan. It was a typo on my part putting this together. And that is the plan at which JMRL pays into an employee's defined contribution plan for their retirement. It is at 8% a year. So if you make X salary, JMRL pays 8% of that annually. aside from what you take home into this defined contribution plan. The city is considering a provision there that would pay 10% after 10 years of service at JMRL. So it's a retention tool, again, that if someone has been with the organization for 10 years, that number would increase from an 8% to a 10% payment there. So there's nothing to discuss here because that is still under consideration by the Retirement Commission at the city. They will be bringing that to the city manager's office in April. Should that happen, then we will bring this to the full board and explain it to them. I will mention that for the first year of this plan, which is next year, I think there would be under 10 employees that would be affected at JMRL. So under 10 employees that are currently in the DC plan that have over 10 years of service. The first year of this cost would actually be potentially covered by forfeiture funds that the city has from JMRL. So there would be no budgetary impact for next fiscal year, which is good because our budgeting is done at this point. It would just mean that the library would need to support that increased costs in fiscal year 24 and moving on. And anytime somebody moved from, into their 10th year of service, they would see a bump there and it would cost JMRL. So this is mostly just to let you all know and to see if there are any questions about that now that we can take to the city while they're still thinking about this. And Kathy, for the ancient history here, staff have always used the city of Charlottesville's retirement plan. JMRL pays into that annually. It used to be that all JMRL employees were on the defined benefit plan, which is the pension plan. Then there was a period in which employees were offered a choice of either the defined benefit or the defined contribution plan. Now all new employees are on the defined contribution plan. So new employees do not get the option for a pension plan. So this is a way to try to promote retention amongst new employees by giving an incentive to stay for 10 years.
Okay.
Okay, so that's mostly an FYI for you all that the city is considering this, and then the full board can discuss once we know for sure.
Okay. Sounds good.
The last item on here is a discussion of a title change for a position in Mont Ave. The position is a community network coordinator. Chris is familiar with this position as he worked in Mont Ave. He started at JMRL in Mont Ave. So some history here, the lab and the associated hosting opened in the 90s, and Stella Poole has been in charge ever since that time. She is retiring this year after 40 years of service to JMRL and to the community. So we're looking to revamp the space and the job duties, but remain true to the spirit of Mont Ave. The spirit of Mont Ave was to provide a space to connect the public with new technologies, largely the internet and web hosting at that time. Those are no longer the new ideas that they were in the 90s. Most people are used to these concepts. Most people have access to the internet in their pocket all day long. So what we're interested in doing, what JMRL is interested in doing, is to continue to manage the hosted sites that we do have, but focus on moving those resources to the cloud environment. We would like this position to still manage that physical space at the central library, but turn it into a digital technology lab so that people could book time to come in and use new resources that the library has, or existing ones that we have. Like currently, the reference department at Central has a very popular machine that converts videotape, VHS tape, into digital files. So things like that could maybe move into this space and people could book time with it and be able to work with an individual here to meet their needs. I'm also interested in this position coordinating some in-person and virtual training for library resources. So working with the reference staff, putting together some trainings that would be available for people to view online, like how to use our online resources, how to use our Libby, the other reading resources we have, databases, etc. So the bylaws of the library board says that the board needs to approve new or deleted positions. This one's kind of a gray area because we're not deleting a position. It's not a new position, but we'd like to change the title of it and revamp it to some new responsibilities. The new title, I believe, would be Technology Services Librarian. And they would still supervise the employees that work in the lab there to help the public. But the shift would move away from providing a public space for computer labs. We have other options at the Central Library at this point. There are public computers available in the reference department, as well as an accessibility station on the main floor and Wi-Fi throughout the building. So it would move the focus away from being a computer lab and more to being a concierge technology service. Does that make sense? Kathy, does that make sense?
It makes sense. It does. It sounds like we're moving with the times.
Yeah, it's time to update that a bit.
Yeah, and we need to send a shout out to Stella for 40 years of service.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like potentially the board to recognize her for her 40 years of service before she retires in May.
Dedication.
So do you think that we could make a recommendation to the full board? I'll talk to Thomas. I don't believe the board would need to vote on this. We just want them to know that this change is happening so that they're not surprised. It's not like we're inventing a new job out of thin air. We're changing an existing one, but we just want full transparency on it. Okay, that's all we had for our agenda today. Anything to talk about in any of those? Kathy runs a lean meeting.
I told her, oh, I forgot we're being taken.
Yes, you are. The only person who's watching us is Kayla Payne, JMRL's IT and Tech Services Coordinator. So Kayla, did you have anything to say or add? Or are you just listening in? Raise your hand if you're interested in adding anything, but otherwise I'm sure. Talk to you later. Nothing to add, Kayla says. Anything else for this group to discuss at this time?
I have one thing to bring, I guess everybody's aware, but a dedicated staff person passed away, Carolyn Allen,
Yes.
last week, and she really did a lot of good work at the Gordon Avenue Library. So want to keep her family in prayer.
Yes, Carolyn was a long-time staff member that both Krista and I worked with for a while, and I went to the viewing, and a lot of JMRL staff went as well. She was really a special member of the library family and well loved.
And it was nice that we were able to have her participate in the documentary film with Mary Barber and Nancy Key in the fall. That was really nice that she was able to participate in that.
So true, so true.
Yeah, there are definitely generations of children in the Charlottesville area that grew up knowing Miss Allen. So thank you for bringing that up, Kathy.
Okay.
Okay, so what we will do is we're going to have two recommendations for the library board. One is for a one-time pay adjustment for JMRL staff fiscal year 22, and the other is for the position change from community network coordinator, title change from community network coordinator to technology services librarian. And as I said, the Budget Finance Committee will meet next week to review the options for what JMRL can potentially do for the one-time pay adjustment. If that's it, Kathy, you can adjourn the meeting if you'd like.
Okay, you all have a good day, and the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Kathy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.